Welcome to Stocks to Watch. We have an exciting episode lined up for you. I'm Ashley Berry, and we're thrilled to welcome the team from Sonoro Gold Corp, CEO and Director Kenneth MacLeod, along with John Darch, Chairman and Director. Sonoro is on the brink of a major milestone as it transitions from a junior gold exploration and development company to a gold producer. With properties located in the minely-friendly region of Sonora, Mexico, Sonoro is set to begin its 12,000 tons per day heap leach mining operation at the Cerro Caliche Gold Project. This ambitious endeavor is expected to generate substantial cash flow, which will be reinvested into further exploration and expansion. Sonoro Gold Corp is trading on the TSXV as SGO, the OTCQB in the United States as SMOFF, and the Frankfurt Stock Exchange as 23SP. We are delighted to have you both with us today.
Thank you, Ashley. Pleasure to be with you as well.
Thank you, Ashley. A pleasure.
Sure. So, John, I'd like to start with you. There's a new and what might be considered a more mining-friendly administration now in Mexico. Maybe you can tell us more about this administration and how the appointment of several moderates will change the regulatory environment for mining in Mexico.
Certainly. There's definitely cautious optimism in the mining sector now. The incoming administration is believed to be more moderate than the outgoing president, and the people who have been engaged are, we believe, more qualified to assess the potential of mining within Mexico, and their approach will be more moderate. And it must be remembered, Ashley, that the ban on open pit mining is just a proposal. It's unfortunate the way that the media put it out, saying ban on open pit mining, which had a negative reaction in the investment community. But it's still a proposal. Nothing has happened. And with the change in government and the new president coming into play October, we would expect to see there some progression, because it must be remembered that Mexico relies a lot on mining. It's good for the economy. It brings in investment. It means more employment. It means obviously then greater taxes. And overall, we think that open pit mining is going to be welcome in Mexico, and the new administration will ensure that it's forthcoming.
And I think if I may add to that, John and Ashley, the President-elect Sheinbaum has gone to great lengths to try to assure foreign investors that Mexico is open for business. And she has said, foreign investors have nothing to fear from investing in Mexico. So if you take that at face value, and that translation, in my opinion, would be that the new policies that will be implemented by her government once she is actually taking over the reins of power on October the 1st, the new policies, I believe, will be more mining friendly and friendly to foreign investment as well.
It certainly sounds promising, and thank you both for really breaking that down. I can only imagine that there was a bit of concern prior to this administration shift, so we can only hope that it's going to be more positive, as you say. Ken, I'd like to follow up by asking you about a concrete maybe timetable for the changes, and how will this impact your efforts to obtain necessary permits for the Caliche project?
Well, we can only surmise at this point in time because there's nothing definitive, but the essence of it is that the federal election, or the national election, was held on June the 2nd. And President-elect Sheinbaum will be actually taking over the reins of power on October the 1st. In the meantime, she has been busy putting together her team of senators or administrators for each of the departments that she's responsible for. And as a result, we're looking at all the faces that are being added to the cabinet, and we have a certain degree of comfort that we're looking at more moderate people taking over these roles. Now, timing-wise, October the 1st, President-elect Sheinbaum becomes full president. At that point in time, she can start to really make an imprint on the future direction of the government policies in Mexico. I don't see any major changes between now and October, except for the fact that the people that she's starting to put into the positions of power are like I said, more pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe we can work very, very well with many of these people. So after October, it may take some time for President Sheinbaum to effect the changes that she may feel necessary in order to keep the Mexican economy moving forward. But I believe that you will start to see some direct results from her efforts after October the 1st and between October and the end of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, Ken, really great to hear the optimism here. And I have to imagine, and I'm glad you brought this up about the transition process, the transition team, sort of all eyes on that right now as the months progress. John, I'd like to ask you, perhaps you could elaborate on the steps that Sonoro Gold has taken to ensure compliance with environmental regulations and community consent for the project.
Well, certainly, to obtain the MIA, or the Environmental Impact Assessment, an approved one, you need to have basically a whole series of things. One, there must be multiple baseline studies, which we've completed, as reported in the chairman's letter. We've completed social and environmental impact assessments, multiple meetings with the stakeholders, and importantly, with the local government. So we have covered all aspects that are necessary to be completed in order to obtain the MIA. So we're comfortable that in due course, we've met all the requirements and that the MIA will be issued.
I also believe that we have exceeded the minimum requirements for environmental assessment. The environmental review process in Mexico is based on the Canadian environmental review. So they're pretty well the highest standards you'll find anywhere in the world. Whether it's United States or Canada, we adhere to the same principles and environmentalism. So we spent 2 years preparing this environmental impact statement. We've dealt with all levels of government, all the way from the local government, especially the local government, because the local government in the nearest town of Cucurpe are very, very much in favor of the project because it creates jobs, high-paying jobs in an area that is distressed. And then the next nearest town of Magdalena is a center for mining in the northern region of Sonora State. And once again, the people in Magdalena are very supportive of the project because it's an economy that has been based historically on mining. So we're not breaking new ground here. And environmentally, this is an area where we're surrounded by producing mines. Agnico Eagle will be I've been developing the Santa Gertrudis project now for 6 years. And then we have the Cerro Prieto mine next door and the Mercedes mine next door. So we're in an area that is already impacted by mining, but positively because it has created a very significant middle class in the region based upon high-paying jobs.
Yeah, and to really help propel the economy, I have to imagine that, support from the community, partnerships from businesses, it's paramount to success and operations in that region. Can I understand that development exploration there, only 30% of the Cerro Caliche mineralized zones have been explored so far. So what are your plans right now for future drilling, and how might this impact the overall resource estimate?
Well, that's the beauty of the Cerro Caliche project. When you mentioned that we've only defined 30% of the known mineralization on the property, it's from a very reliable source. We've done a lot of studies, both from a geophysical, geochemical, and on a drilling perspective, to provide us with the comfort that yes, it's only 30% that's been developed and drilled to date. But the other areas that we've identified have been identified through surface mapping and sampling, and with scout drilling as well. So we feel very confident that the resource can be expanded. The other thing that is interesting currently is when we did the PEA, the preliminary economic assessment, the price of gold was $1,800, and that was the basis on which the PEA was put together. Now we're almost at $2,500. And guess what the difference is for mining from a mining perspective? The cutoff grade that was used for the PEA was 0.2 grams per ton. Now, because the economics are even better than they were at $1,800, we can now consider a cutoff grade of 0.15 grams per ton. And to give you an idea, Herradura, which is one of the largest mines in the region, has a cutoff grade of 0.1 grams. So, it is very possible and very profitable to mine down to 0.1 gram with the larger resources. So we feel very confident that the resource can be expanded just from the point of view of the price of gold where it is today. But more importantly, additional drilling, which is being planned, is to be done in areas where we're taking very little risk or no risk at all. We know that there's a potential for expansion in the higher grade zones to the west. We know that there are areas to the north that have been underexplored, but are highly mineralized. And we know the central area where the initial open pit would be situated has a potential for expansion both laterally and to depth as well. So there's additional drilling is what is going to be required in order to get to our destination, which we believe the potential for the project is up to 2 million ounces.
Fantastic. And, just to dovetail on this, Ken, obviously you mentioned gold prices exceeded 2,400, close to 2,500 now, as you said. I'd like to ask you, John, how do you think this will impact the forecast and potential of the project, and maybe what scenarios do you see are plausible here?
Ken referenced the fact that with our PEA in 2023, we were using $1,800 an ounce for gold. Mm-hmm. We thought that at that time we were being pretty, ambitious in some respects. But now, when you have gold exceeding 2,400, and at some time we'll be touching 2,500, and the prediction is potentially $3,000 an ounce. The impact of rising gold prices with this project is very significant. It's kind of mentioned in terms of the NPV. We have $1,800 an ounce with 71 million US. At $2,400 an ounce, it's now moved to over 200 million US pre-tax, so NPV. So it's very significant. And so we understand that this project, because of the nature of it, open pitable, etc., relatively low cost of capital to develop it, the increase in gold price, as we're convinced it will continue to move forward, just adds to the potential project.
Well, it certainly sounds promising. And speaking of finances, there is a $2.4 million value-added tax receivable from the Mexican government. So, Ken, I'd like to ask you to maybe provide a little bit more details on the process and timeline for recovering these funds.
Well, it's the bottom line is a value-added tax that we have paid as we are operating in Mexico. Is essentially we can only go back 5 years to reclaim that tax, and so we go back to 2019, and we file all the documentation that's required in order for us to qualify for getting a refund on the value-added tax. And so we're in the process of doing that right now. We have a very competent law firm that is operating on our behalf there and have been successful with other mining companies in recovering the value-added tax. So it's a tedious process because the documentation required in order to get your refund is very intense and very extensive. But it is going through the process right now. It's probably going to take us anything from 6 months to a year to fully recover the $2.3 million that is due to us. But it's happening as we speak. So I would imagine if we're successful with the first batch of returns, that we'll see the results in the next 90 days.
Fantastic. And I'll ask you both, for investors, potential investors watching this, listening to us, what makes Sonoro Gold right now a compelling investment opportunity, would you say, today? And any additional thoughts you'd like to add?
Actually, above and beyond the fact that we've only completed, say, 30% of the property in the evaluation, and therefore the upside is significant. Add that to the fact that gold price is now moving up and is expected to continue. So on that side of it, it's very important. But what people have to understand when looking at junior companies is who are the people? What is the business plan? What is the commitment of the individuals? And I think we stand out as a junior company where the insiders, each of us, have some 40 years experience in the mining business. And that experience is complementary. We have Mo Herdrick, the geologist, Wiley Diaz, the mining engineer, Ken and myself, both upon financing and marketing. And we've come together for this one project. And that's important, that we are not here with a half a dozen different companies. This Sonoro Gold is our one project. And our commitment is reflected by the fact that we hold about 26% of the issued shares in the company. And beyond that, the insiders have contributed probably another $3 million. And the purpose of that is to ensure we meet all of our property payments, to ensure the operations continue, etc. So from an investment point of view, when considering companies, it's not only the asset, which is hugely important, but it's also, do the individuals have experience and do they have a business plan? And our business plan from day one was to go to production as quickly as possible from a known resource. We achieved all of those goals on time and within budget. The only holdup we encountered was the Mexican government and the delay in acquiring the MIA. When all that comes into place, Ashley, then we'll see the full potential of the company being shown.
And then to add on to that as well, the fact that we theoretically should have received our permit for the environmental impact statement almost 2 years ago is a result of the policies that were enacted by the previous president. And now that president is on the way out, and by October the 1st, we'll have a new president, we fully anticipate having a much more environmentally, politically friendly situation in Mexico. Now, the impact that the lack of approval on the environmental impact statement had on us was severe. Obviously, it was a perfect storm of poor market for junior gold companies, in spite of the fact that gold is achieving all-time highs. But we believe that that will be corrected in due course. The price of gold will eventually, and is already starting to have an impact on junior gold companies, and of course the senior gold companies as well. So we believe that over the next 2 years, we believe that the negatives of the past 2 years will be totally overcome and erased in the next 2 years as Mexico gets back to an even footing on the mining development. And keep in mind, mining has been the main source of income in Mexico for the past 500 years. It's not going to go away. And 70% of the mines are open pit mines in Mexico. So in Sonora State, 25% of the GDP is reliant on the mining industry. And can you imagine the hit that Sonora State would take if mining was impacted negatively? No, they can't afford that. So we're in a very good state. It used to be one of the wealthiest states in Mexico, and we'll hopefully with the mining getting back into full swing, Sonora State will become one of the powerhouses of the Mexican economy. So we're looking forward to working with the new government. We have no problems in meeting the environmental impact requirements that have been advanced in the proposed new mining laws. But we also have been grandfathered because our project predates the new proposed mining laws if they're ever enacted. So we feel very confident that we will have a very successful 2 years of development up ahead of us, and as we continue to expand the project and realize the full value of this project, like I mentioned, potential for up to 2 million ounces.
Certainly sounds like you're well positioned on all fronts, expertise spanning mining, technical operations, and finance, positioning Sonoro Gold Corp for remarkable growth and success. CEO and Director Kenneth MacLeod and John Darch, Chairman and Director, again, of Sonoro Gold Corp, trading on the TSXV as SGO. Thank you both so much for your time and for this wonderful conversation. I look forward to hearing more in the fall.
Thank you very much, Ashley. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.